Hello, 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 hello. Hello, everyone. It's Drama Free Friday. Sorry I'm running a couple minutes late. Yeah. Have you ever tried to cram too much into too small a period of time? Oh, let's see. Let me go back here and say hello to everybody. Hi, Dorothy, Marion. Hi, Joan. Let's see. It's everybody I see for the moment. No, Dorothy, I did not nod off. That sounds like a good plan, however. Hi, Ann. Hi, Dar. Lori, Patty. Wait a minute. The chat all of a sudden went. Hi, Ina. Hi, Barbara. Let's see. Hey, Janet. Hi, Beth. Roesta. I don't know exactly how to say your name. Atadal. Tallulah. Love your name. Hey, Debbie. Boring. Golly, I haven't seen you in ages. Hi, Sylvia. Yeah. Whew. Sorry, running a little bit late. Do you guys ever do that where you like cram too much? I mean, I've been working to get ready for this stream since I streamed the last time, which was like 2 weeks ago. And I mean, I was just right up to the very last second. Hey, Alice, good to see you. Ruth came to see Barb Ross. And our Edwards is Ruth. She always calls me Barb Ross. I don't know why. Hey, Shelly. Hey, Shue, good to see you. Dana, my gosh, the gang's all here. I'm so glad you guys are here. Hi, Nina. So I am having, this is the biggest Americano I could get. Yes, I'm drinking some coffee again. Anyway. River City Creative, what's your name? Welcome. 57 already? Great. You guys want to give me a thumbs up while you're thinking about it? That would be superb. I'd appreciate it. Okay, so today is, drum roll, Drama Free Friday. I missed you guys, even though I streamed a couple weeks ago. If you missed my stream from a couple weeks back, we cranked out the Seth Apter Emerald Creek embossing powders and learned about those and made a sufficient mess with a few of them, but got some great results too. So, yeah, it was fun. So anyway, I'm really glad you guys are here. And thank you so much for joining me today. It's always a good day when we get together. It's always a good day. So cheers, everybody. Hi, Kimberly. So why is it called Drama Free Friday? If you're brand new here, well, first of all, welcome. Call it Drama Free Friday because there's just too much drama in the world, and we're just going to let it for a little while stay out there, you know, outside the walls of my studio. And in here for a couple of hours, we're just going to play and have a good time. And by the way, if you hear a roaring in the background, that's because the air conditioner is on, because we went from winter to summer. And so I think in the same week we went from the heat to the air conditioner. And so it is sufficiently it's sufficiently hot here today. Like it's supposed to be 97 or something. Hey, Donna. And anybody that I missed, let's see what the temperature is. We'll check it out, shall we? Well, so far it's up to 92. So, but that's with a whole bunch of humidity, so it feels a lot hotter. Deborah, okay. Thanks, Deborah. Appreciate that. Hey, Rocky. Oh, it is cooler inside than outside. That is for sure. So anyway, I'm going to save a little bit of this in case I need to have some of it to drink to wet my whistle in a little bit. Okay, since last I talked to you guys, I put up a couple of short, they were short for me, YouTube videos. One was about making your own homemade or handmade, whatever you want to call them, handcrafted brushes. This was an inspiration and an idea from one of our VIP members, which, by the way, the VIP class is tomorrow. So you guys that are here who are VIP members, you have had already one email earlier this week. You'll get another one with the rest of the information again. And so this came from one of our VIP members, and her name is Nancy. And I'm trying to get my wits about me. This could be a challenging day. We hope not. Anyway, so this is an example of the handmade brushes, and so those of you who are VIP members, remember we're having a little challenge. It's just for fun, just to see what you can do with them. And so these were the samples that I did. These were some of my brushes. There's nothing magic or secret about them. They're just a whole lot of fun. So those are some of the things that I did using those little handmade brushes. These were actually the ones that I did, and a jelly plate. So I did use a jelly plate with them. So anyway, if you want to participate in that, you're welcome to do that. And also check out that YouTube video if you'd like to see more about that. And hi, Ian. Hi, Rain. Everybody must have skipped spring, it looks like, in the chat. Ruth's going to get me a wig with Bob Ross' happy little head of hair. That would be nice. Actually, I probably had Bob Ross hair back in the day when he was painting. I probably did, because I used to wear a very curly perm, and I had dark hair. It was funny. This is a funny aside. It has nothing to do with anything. But a few years ago, I ran into a guy from my college days, and his hair was very, very salt and pepper. And he said, he looked at me like this, and he goes, "How come your hair is that color and mine is the color of mine?" He was as serious as a judge. And I said, "Because I bought mine." How come your hair is that color? Didn't it used to be dark? Well, yeah. And what's your point? Anyway. So this was the other YouTube video I put up. Hi, Care. So this is the other video that I put up earlier this week, and it's on this book, 50 Ways to Draw Your Beautiful Ordinary Life. This is one of the Flow publications, the Flow book. It is a big old thick book, and I don't ordinarily buy the Flow books for no reason other than I don't use them up. This one I will really enjoy, and this was a gift, and it's all about drawing different things. So there was an inspiration right at the beginning, which was about drawing teacups, and that prompted me to think of a YouTube video from a number of years ago from Vicky P. She's from Greece, and I don't know how to say her last name, so I'm not going to try because I'll just embarrass myself. And she did hers in scrapbook paper. She did a stack of teacups with scrapbook paper, and so I used inspiration from this book and drew them and put them on the front cover of one of my moleskin notebooks. Normally I cover these up, but I thought, I'm just going to draw on this one, and I got another whole page I can do on the back, and I can draw inside the covers. I love black and white on craft, and so yeah, it was a lot of fun. Anyway, so that was from this particular inspiration. I loved how the lace turned out, the lace tablecloth turned out. I really liked that. So anyway, those are two YouTube videos that you'll find on the site right here on this channel. Janet says Vicki inspired her with that teacup page too. I think that she inspired, honestly, I think Vicki inspired everyone. That was one of the coolest pages. For whatever reason, I mean, it just struck a chord. And I think she did teabag, this teabag strings and things. But anyway, if you go back to the video where I showed this, which was just earlier this week, her video is linked in that description box. Okay, let's move all this. By the time this is over, I will have a huge mess, but I always do because I keep setting stuff. When you see me disappear, I'm putting stuff on the floor. At one point, not too long ago, like a matter of weeks ago, I brought in a table and I put a little table over here and I put a chair over here. And so all I did was just spread, it just grew. The mess just grew. So, hi Dina and anybody I missed. I'm so glad you're here. So thank you for being here. But didn't you guys think that was funny about the hair when the guy said, I says, what? How come my hair looks like this? You can buy some hair too. So anyway, okay. So we're going to talk about image transfer today. Yes, we are. Image transfer. Those of you who, I'm going to get my phone out of the way here so I don't do something terrible to it. Those of you who have been hanging around doing art and mixed media for a while have all probably tried various types of image transfer. And image transfer either works really well, or it doesn't work at all, or it kind of sort of works, right? Kind of sort of. Marion says he had no women in his family. I really don't know whether the guy had, apparently he wasn't close to him if they were in his family. Okay, so we're going to talk about image transfer today. And we're also going to, we're going to use Gelli plates to do it. Yes. And this is inspired by a video from the company that someone who does videos for the Gel Press company. And that video is, if you click on the description box below this video and scroll down, you'll see the video. It's a YouTube video where this inspiration came from. This is not an original idea. Wish I'd thought of it. Never thought of it. Never even tried it. Never even thought it could work. But before we do that, I forgot to tell you the most exciting thing. I'm going to we're going to re-roll. Re-roll. Rewind. Clausman's in the house. Cool. Hey, Lynn. Hey, Vicki Ross. Oh, Vicki got some flex brushes. Good for you. Flex brushes are good because you can throw them away. If you can't get them clean, throw them away. Before we get to the important work of image transfer, or not, I have been telling you guys about the inspiration cards that are coming, right? Well, if the technological forces are with me, I have some pictures to show you. Now, when I show these to you, I'm not sure that I didn't try this, so I'm not sure whether you're going to get to hear my voice, because I'm going to be using a different computer, routing it through da-da-da-da-da. It's magic. That's all I can tell you. It's magic, okay? So give me a second to see if I can do the magic, okay? So everybody cross your fingers and toes, because what I want to show you is pretty cool, okay? If you can't hear me talk, don't freak out. This won't last very long. It's just a short little slideshow, okay? All right, cross your fingers. Let's see if we can get this to work. Hold the farm, everybody. Okay. Okay, I think you can hear me. So I'm going to keep talking. This is, I can't see the chat though. What you see here is the production of the cards. So you'll see the box, you see the cards, you see various, pardon me, various places on the production line where they are putting them together and, you know, printing them and folding them and doing all that stuff and what they look like when they're, you know, fanned out. Some close-ups, and yeah, so this is the Mandala Madness inspiration cards, and they are coming very, very soon. So as you look through this, hopefully you can hear me. As you look through this, here's the back, a sample of the backs of the cards. Look at that, people. Look at that. I'm telling you, yeah. So we have plenty for the time being. There is a finite supply, however, but we have plenty to start with. And so they are getting ready here to go into the shrink wrap process. Here they've been shrink wrapped, and then they are going to be put in cartons. So you're going to see the cartons come up here. Okay, and that's it. Okay, so let's go back to me. How cool was that? How cool was that? Okay, so we're going to try one more thing. I have some videos. Now there is no sound with these videos. Okay, there is no sound. So, but we're going to see again if I can make the magic happen over here. So everybody hold on for a minute. Hold the fort. And there's 1, 2, 3, there's 4 videos, and they're only 10 seconds a piece, but it'll give you more of the flavor of how these things get done. Okay, so let's see. Wish me luck here. Okay, and let's see. Control, Command, F. Okay. All right, here we go. Okay, there's one. I have to do this in sections so that you don't have to watch the whole sorry, I know I'm a little clumsy when it comes to doing this. I'm not the magic technician that the technical department is not in the house. Let's just say that. They're just short little videos so you can see. That one you just saw. Sorry about, I think. Did you? Okay. If you saw that one twice, I apologize. I think you did. Sorry. I hope you're excited about this. The fact that I'm even able to do this today is pretty miraculous, I gotta say. Okay. 2 more, because I showed the first one twice, accidentally. And then we have one more. I told you, they're just quick little videos. What do you think? What do you think? Okay, now I can come back to the chat. Yes! How about that? Was that cool? Okay, now I got to see what you guys said. Oh, there's Race. Race is not here. He's not here. He told me he wasn't going to be here. He probably just came because he wanted to see if I made this happen. Okay, let me go back here. Debbie says, when can we order? Not yet. Soon. Very soon. Hi, Miss Allie. So you like them? Exciting. Can't wait. Thank you. Gorgeous cards. Thank you, guys. Thanks, Janet. Everybody's liking them. Yes, they're coming. They will be available very, very soon. They are currently in transit. And it just depends on how long they take to get here because they were printed and created. Well, we created them. Okay, let me just roll the train back. Let's just back the train up. I did the artwork and the information comes from me. Then the technical department made the, he did all the technical stuff, which makes perfect sense, right? So he did all the technical stuff. And he is masterful. Let's not blow his head up too much. He is masterful, which, by the way, I have to tell you that did you guys know that he does consulting? He does. So if you need someone to consult with he ain't cheap, people. He ain't cheap. But he is excellent at, you've seen much of his handiwork. So anyway, if you have further questions about that, ask him in the chat or you can ask me. So he created all the technical specs and all that kind of stuff. Then he found the company to do the production work and has done all the communication with them. So without him, there would be no inspiration cards. But without me, there wouldn't be any inspiration cards. We have to keep working together. Otherwise, nothing will happen. So how do you get them? You can get them just as soon as we have them in our hot little hands and have all the rest of the pieces finished up. So Alice has been Mandala obsessed and it's all my fault. Yeah, you can't, there's no point in emailing me and telling me to put you on a list yet because that I won't probably be able to, I can't fill orders off email. So just hang tight just a little longer. Just a little bit longer. Hi, Ilan. Okay. All right. So I almost forgot to share that with you. So also, if you enjoy mandalas as much as I do, and these are, well, we'll do all the shtick about them later, but you know, if you don't enjoy doing mandalas or mandalas, they still would be an enjoyable thing for you to have, just for the inspiration of it all. So, what's on them and what comes with them, says the Peanut Gallery. I've shown the mock-ups before. Let me get them and I'll show them to you, okay? This is just the mock-ups. So this is the tiniest little vision of them. So this is what the cards will be looking like. And so on the on the colorful side of the card, because I can never remember if it's the front or the back. On the colorful side of the card, you'll have, they're different, each one is different. A mandala of created by me, and it's a piece of it, but you get most of the artwork from the mandala. There will be an inspirational word, and then on the back side, so here's another version, being able to look at them. On the back side, there is an instruction and a quote, an inspirational quote that relates to the word on the front. So this is my mock-up. Oh, it's the first time you've heard of them? Okay, Miss Allie. So this is just a mock-up of the deck, and this is smaller than what the actual deck is going to be. The actual deck is the size of, basically it's the size of a cell phone or a little bigger, depending on your cell phone. And so this was just my sample where I printed out paper copies and then put them together. Okay, so here is just kind of a mock-up of them. Again, this is a smaller size than they actually are. And on the other side, you'll have, and some of them I put upside, that one I put upside down. We'll do this one. So you turn the card over, and on the other side is the inspirational word and the quote, and then the instruction for whatever it is for this card. And then also you'll get a free mini course that comes with that, and also there is a book, an ebook that comes with it, with all the designs from the deck back here. So there are some designs that are unique just to these cards, and so you'll get all of those designs in a book, and all of the symbols, because anytime you see a symbol on here, for example, like this kind of symbol, or let's find another one, like, of course, when I want something specific, for example, these little symbols that are on here, all of those will be included in multiples. So if you want to cut them apart and use them in other forms of your artwork, you'll be able to do that like this. So you'll have all different, the symbols will be included in the book as well. How about that? Thank you. So we're very excited about them. I'm going to have my studio is going to get considerably smaller when they arrive, because I don't know where else I will put them besides in the studio. So I will have boxes of cards. So anyway, any other questions? If Race is still here, he can cue me if there's anything else he wants me to say. So that's just a little sneak peek, right? It is awesome, isn't it? It is awesome. It is awesome. And I think it's the first of several different decks of inspiration cards. But the whole thing is they're going to be for you to be inspiring on both sides of the cards. So each one is individual, each one is unique. So no matter which side of the card you pick, you should find inspiration. So, hi Colleen. They'll not be in my studio for very long. Cool, Barbara, that's great. Great. Okay, so if you have any other questions, stick them in the chat. Will you have to order from the States? Yes, because I am the distribution center at this point. Although we have plans for other distribution things, everything will be here at the moment. Okay? All right. So, next up, we're going to talk, now we're going to go back to image transfer. And we're going to use mandalas or mandalas or mandalas, however you want to say it is perfectly fine. But we're going to use designs from some of the books that we have. So, more mandala things. Mandala Obsessed would describe me quite well. So we have 3 ebooks, and I've shown these a number of times, but in case you haven't seen them, I'll show them to you one more time. This is Mandala Medley, and this one has 25 designs, I believe. It is a downloadable ebook. I don't know that I printed out the table of contents in here. Race is at 25 designs, I believe it is. Anyway, it's totally irrelevant how many designs it is. 25, I think. So it's an ebook. The advantage to an ebook is you can print out, if there's one you like and you want to print it out and use it a bunch of times, you can. You just isolate that page and you print it out. Yeah, 25. Okay, so we've got that one. We have Mandala Melange version 2.0. This one has the original 25 designs plus some new ones. I think it was 5 additional new ones. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5 additional designs. So this one has 30 designs. The other one has 25. And then this one is free. Mandala Madness is a free ebook, and this is 5 designs. And again, it's ebook. You can download it. So you can do the technique that we have here today, or you can play with it. You can try it if you have a Gelli plate, and you can do it for free because you can download this one for free. The links to everything I'm using and everything I'm doing is all in the description box below the video. Okay, so everyone needs to cross your fingers and toes that this works, because as I explained a little bit earlier before I sidetracked myself and took myself on a rabbit trail, image transfer can be very successful, or it can be a little unsuccessful, or it can be partly successful. So we're going to cross our fingers that we have success. So what I'm using to get myself ready is here, let me show you one that I have done. We'll just start there. We'll start there. So let's take a look at okay, this mandala is from one of the books, Mandala Medley. It's the large 6-flower petal from Mandala Medley. This is done using the technique I'm going to show you, which is not an original technique. Okay, this technique came from someone who does videos for the Gel Press company. And I don't have a clue how she figured out how to do this, how it would work. I don't know if it was an accident or on purpose, but anyway, this is done from that. The outline, the color work I did after I transferred the design, and it was transferred onto white mixed media paper first. After I did the artwork on it, then I cut it out and I put it in my journal. Okay? And so these are some of the other mandalas. None of the rest of these have been transferred, but what I'm showing you is that if you look at these, which were designs that I actually did from where I printed them out on paper from the mandala books and did the artwork on them. Okay, so that's what I did on all of these, except for these two. These are a different technique. Versus this one, which was an image transfer technique. They look very, very similar. Okay, so why would you want to use image transfer? Well, because you want to transfer them onto, you want your design on something other than a white piece of paper. For example, you wanted to do this, where you have your mandala on a background like this, where you're using part of it. And so this background has a technique on the back, which is just acrylic washes, right? Okay. So this is, you can see the transfer right here. So the wash background was done. This is on watercolor paper. This is cold pressed watercolor paper. You can see the texture in the background here. So it was transferred on to this. It's impossible to take this book, which was already made, okay? I can't take this book and run it through my printer to print the image on it. Here's another one that I did, okay? And here's a couple more that are in various stages of completion. So if you're wanting to put them on something other than white, you got to figure out a way to get them on there. Well, one of the things you can do is you can trace them, put a piece of tracing paper over the image that you print out, and you can trace it. And then you can put graphite paper on here, and you can go over it again. But you don't get the same level of accuracy because your hand is not going to be as accurate as a transfer, given that the transfer, if the transfer works correctly, right? Right. The other thing that you can do here that you can't, that might be a challenge otherwise, is getting these resized, because this is considerably a different size than the one that's in the book. The ones in the book are full size, as big as we could put them on an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. This is a lot smaller. So if you want smaller images in your in a journal like this, for example, then you're going to have to find some way to get them in here. You either got to shrink them down, you know, reduce the size and do all those kinds of things, or you can do this. Now, having shown you some of the things, just so you know, I've actually done it. Okay, you've seen me do it. Now, since Race is here, he's going to laugh at me because he knows that often when I go about doing something technically, I will go at it in the most archaic way. That would be because I'm archaic by comparison to the technical department. So what I do is I use the PDF straight from, it's in my computer. I use the PDF just like you would download it. And again, you're going to find all the links in the description box below under the video. I open up the PDF, and then I take whichever one, I scroll through the list and I see which one I like, and then I put it on my screen, and I take a screenshot of it. Okay? Everybody has the ability to do a screenshot. And so my chat hasn't moved for, oh, there we go. Thanks. Hi, May. The chat hadn't moved for a while. I was like, all of a sudden I'm like, are we still going? Apparently we are. Hey, Chris, I haven't seen you in forever. Good to see you. Okay. All right, so I take a screenshot of the image because it's the easiest way for me in my we'll just call it archaic, because you can have, for everything that I tell you, there's 40 other ways to do it at least. So I take that screenshot, I open up a document in my word processing program, which, because I'm on a Mac, happens to be Pages, and I just drag that image into Pages, because for me that's easy, because then it has the little handles around the outside, and I can drag the handles and I can make the image the size I want it to be, to fit on an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. So if I want to shrink it way down, I can shrink it way down. If I want to expand it out to fit, you know, maybe part of it on the paper, I can do that. Okay? Okay. All right, we're going to see if we can make this happen again. This is another one of those magic kind of things, so give me a second. we're going to see whether this works. All right, so give me a minute. So let's see if we can come down to one of my images here. So I'm working on a different computer. So yeah, you're gonna see all kinds of garbage in the background. So what you can see here is that I've dragged two different images into this word processing page, okay, which happens to be pages, as I've told you. All right, so that's how I have this happening. Okay, now I got to get one more thing to show you. Then I took this is copy paper, okay? This is a piece of printer copy paper, 8.5 by 11. It's what works in my printer. And I put glue around the edges, really close to the edge. You can see a little bit of it here. You see this little indentation, it's kind of wrinkly right in here. That's glue. Okay, so that's glue. I just used tacky glue, and so I just put a little tiny bead of glue around the outside edge. And then what's on the top is parchment paper. Might work with other kinds of stuff, but this is what I used. Reynolds Kitchen genuine parchment paper. It's not fake, it's genuine. Anyway, could work with other kinds of papers. I don't know. It needs to be something that is that won't absorb the ink. So I have copy paper on the back, which is going to carry this through my printer. All right, so here we go. We're going back to the other computer. And so what you're going to see me do is I'm going to print this. So my printer settings are going to be black. I'm just going to use black ink, and I'm going to go to the best so it uses the maximum amount of ink. Then I'm going to put it in my printer, and then so that it will print on the parchment side and print it. So give me 1 second. Okay, and now we're going to print, and everybody cross your fingers and toes that it works. Okay? Okay. So meanwhile, back at the chat, hi Josie. So we're going to see how it works. Like I said, cross your fingers. And in the meantime, I'll show you what I did that I'm going to print these on, because I decided to do it on something flat rather than in my journal. So what we have here is some pieces of watercolor paper. This isn't even good watercolor. Well, it's not that this is bad watercolor paper, but it's not expensive is what I mean. It is an inexpensive pad of watercolor paper. This happened to come from Michael's, and it's 90 pound. Okay, it's only 90 pound watercolor paper. Could be, you know, the heavier it is, the less it's going to warp. But this is what I had. It's what I could get a hold of, and so it's what I'm using. This is watercolor or acrylic thinned down. Okay, it's a very technical stream. That's right. It's very technical. The technical department is approving. Okay, so a watercolor effect using cheap acrylic paint, watered way down, and I just slopped it on a wet piece of paper.
and mushed it around, and then let it dry just a smidgen, okay? Let it dry just a little bit, and then to get these little snowflake effects, I just flicked on some salt and let it sit. And I did this last night, okay? Because I wanted to make sure it was good and dry. So there's that one. Now, the reason I have two pieces, and I don't even know which way these went, I have no clue. It doesn't make a bit of difference. Could be I don't know. Could be, it doesn't matter. Maybe like that. I don't know. Anyway, while they were really soupy wet before the salt, I put two pieces together and I smushed them around. So I got two for the price of one. So if you make one really, really wet, you'll get a second piece of paper. And I put salt on both of them. Okay? I did the same thing with this colorway. This one has a little bit of metallic in it, which you'll be able to see here. So metallic paints are okay too. Same thing, just different colors of paint. Alright, so we're going to pick one of these. We'll do this one. Alright. So far, so good, folks. So far, so good. Alrighty. So I'm going to use the 8-inch round jelly plate. I am fortunate enough to have quite a few different sizes and shapes of jelly plates. Why is that? Because I'm in love with them. Yes, because I just love them, and that's that. So this is the 8-inch round. You could use whatever you want, but I wanted to use the round one, and I flopped it on a piece of, this is plexiglass, and I flop it on there so it can just kind of maintain its roundness as much as possible. It's sticking off the edges a little bit. That's okay. And I'm using the 8-inch just because that's what I grabbed. Alright, here is our print from the printer on the parchment paper side. And what I'm going to show you here is, you can see those lines, those little grid lines. That's the parchment paper. Okay, see those little grid lines? They barely show up. That way you know you're on the parchment paper side. Hey, howdy Popo, Susan. Okay, now I cut these apart because remember, this is glued around the outside edge. So I'm going to carefully cut between these because I put these just as close together as I could on the sheet. Do not, if you try this, first of all, if you do this and you screw up your printer, it's not my fault. I have done probably a dozen of these and I had no problem. I have an El Cheapo HP printer. If you do this and you mess up your printer, don't call me. It's not my fault. You do this at your own risk. Okay? Do it at your own risk. Alright, there was something else I was going to say here. Let's see. These two pieces of paper are glued together, so I'm just going to cut off because it's just easy. I just cut this off because my little bead of glue is narrow, so I can just cut it. Okay, like so. And then that separates my two pieces of paper and keeps my parchment paper nice and flat. And now, this is parchment paper, you're using that so that it doesn't absorb the ink. Okay? Alright. So you want to make sure that you don't rub your hands across it. Now, using the 8-inch plate for this is kind of overkill, but you know. So I put it ink side down on the jelly plate, like so. And then rub it. It will suck it down to the surface of the jelly plate right away. Okay? It grabs that paper. You think nothing's happening. We hope something is. Remember, this is image transfer, people. Okay, so I've rubbed it on there. Okay? Alright. I'm going to pull this off, and you might or might not be able to see anything. You can still see it on here.
I don't know whether this next generation, whether this will give you a second generation or not, because I didn't try that. Here is my paper. If you want to print this so that it runs off the edge, then you're going to need to put some paper around it. Otherwise, it's going to print on your surface of your desk. Alright, so I'm looking through this, which you probably won't be able to see, but I'm looking through the plastic. I'm going to print purposely off the edge. I'm going to put it down. I'm going to stand up and give it some pressure. I don't know if you have to do that, but that's what I'm doing. Okay? So that everything's making really good contact with the surface of my paper. Oh, and by the way, after this dries, and the salt has done its magic, get rid of every trace of salt. Then when you peel off the plate, you should have the image transferred. Kiki says, would printing on vellum achieve the same as using parchment? I don't know, because I didn't try it. So you'd have to just try it. Okay, so there you go. So it transferred very nicely. Well enough that I can see it. Okay, now here's the weirdness of this. Here's the weirdness. If you and then by the way, to clean this, I just use a baby wipe, and I just wipe off any excess ink. So I just take a baby wipe and I just wipe off just to get rid of any excess ink. Okay, so here's the weirdness of this technique. When I have printed things straight from the printer onto a piece of paper, I usually have to set that ink, that inkjet ink, I usually have to set that some way. Usually have to set it with, by spraying it or something. And if you're wanting watercolor effects to happen, which I'm going to use because I'm going to use Inktense Pencils, if I want that kind of blendy effect, that kind of interferes with things. But if you use too much water and get too close to the lines, it will bleed the ink into what you're doing. I have no idea why it doesn't bleed the ink doing this, but I haven't yet to have it bleed, and I tried to make it bleed. So again, if you do this and it works for you, hey, hallelujah. If you try this and it doesn't work for you, it's not my fault. It is just not my fault. It's image transfer. Okay, so back down to the desk. We're going to take this and I'm going to put my plate away, and I know that Luann from Gelli Art said to just put white paper on your plates. I just haven't gotten around to doing it, and so I'm just putting the plastic back on because I don't care whether it has little bubbly things in it or not. It doesn't matter to me. Okay, so I'm putting my 8-inch plate away, and we're going to get the 6-inch plate just because I want to show you that it seems to work with smaller plates also. And the other advantage is if you want to print out a full-size mandala from one of the images, a big mandala, and only get like the center of it, you can even go down to the little bitty plate, like a 4-inch or the 3-inch, and you can grab just the center or just a piece of the mandala to print, do the image transfer with. So anyway, so far so good. Okay. Okay, so here is the other image. Now the bottom of this is open because I cut the image apart. I'm just going to go ahead and cut the glued section away. And again, it's just easier, I found, if I do this. Being careful that you don't smudge the ink. I'm going to put it down on the plate. I don't care if it's centered or what. Doesn't matter. Ink side down. And I'm just rubbing with my fingers. All I'm after is to give that ink a chance to transfer, you know, let the plate pull the ink off of my parchment paper. Okay, pull it off. And again, I don't know whether you can see it. It's very light. The first time I did it, I thought this is never going to work. This is never, ever, ever going to work. Much to my amazement, it did. All right, so just for fun, let's put this up just a little bit, and I'm going to put it on here so just a little bit of it peeks off the edge. So I've got almost the whole thing, just a little bit is not going to be transferred on, and then I stand up and I give it some pressure so that I have as much contact with my paper as I can. And as I've already told you about 3 or 4 times, this is not my original idea. You'll find a link to the video. This was from the someone who does the gel press, does videos for gel press. Okay. Tammy, this is the first Friday of the month. This is June 1st. Okay, and so this is the one we did. Now, those are remarkably good. Hi, Debbie. Those are remarkably good transfers, in my opinion. What do you think? It worked. You guys did a great job crossing your fingers and toes. Oh, every Friday. Got you. No, it's only the first Friday. Yeah, only the first Friday. Only the first Friday. Okay, and some other days. There was a business that used to be not too far from us, and they sold office chairs, and they went to the trouble of purchasing billboard space, you know, to advertise to people. I'm just putting my plate away, and it said this was to tell people when they were open. Okay, so they were open, I think, Wednesdays and Fridays and some other days. That's kind of how I stream. I stream the first Friday of every month and some other days, sometimes. Okay. What do you think? Is that fun? Hi, Josie. I know, isn't that fun? And it's amazing to me that it worked. All right, let me show you. And it's worked every single time I've done it. I cannot tell you why. I can't tell you anything about it. I can just tell you that it worked. So here's another piece that I transferred 3 different images on, using 3 different designs from, and I couldn't tell you off the top of my head which books they came from. It was either Mandala Madness or Mandala Medley or Mandala Melange. I showed you exactly how I resized them. You know, I take a screenshot of it. I open the PDF, take a screenshot of the one I like. I resize it in a Word document program, because I can just drag the handles of the image down to get whatever size I want, and then I printed it out. So there's 3, and you can see I used the same one that I used over here. All right, so shall we play? All right. Hi, Beezy Girl. I think that's Angela, right? How many people we have here today? Somebody tell me, how many people? How many people? All right, let me go get some, let's see, I don't need water. What I'm going to use now is I'm going to use water brushes. These are my favorites. These are the Pentel water brushes. Yes, it is. Busy as Angela. Good to see you, my friend. So we're going to use water brushes, and the reason I like these is because they're flat, and so they don't roll on your desk. You can drop them, and they don't roll away. That's why I like them. And they're pretty consistent. One of mine, and I don't know which one of these two, I think it's this one, is clogged up. They come in a set of 3. At least that's how I found them. And links to everything are in. Thanks, Lynn. Gosh, 115. You guys are great. So what I have now that I'm going to use is I'm going to use Inktense Pencils. You could use anything you want to use, but these are Inktense Pencils. This happens to be the set of 72. They come in different sizes of sets, and I love Inktense Pencils. They also come in blocks. Now, let me tell you something about these. These are an art supply, an artist quality supply. And so when they are considered an artist grade supply, if you buy a set of 12 and then you decide, I really like these, so I'm going to get a set of 24, which is what I did, right? Because I thought, oh, that'll be great. So then I'll have 36 colors. They don't come that way. You buy a set of 12, and then if you buy a set of 24, well, you get the first 12 and 12 new ones. Okay, if you buy the set of 48, you got the original 24 and 24 more. Okay, there's not 48 new colors above and beyond the others. So here's the thing. If you you like Inktense pencils, and I would suggest that you try a set of 12 first. That's just my suggestion. They are pricey. They come in pencils and blocks. The blocks are like sticks, and you can paint directly from them with a paintbrush, or you can use the side and you can paint, bigger swaths of color and so forth. If you try a set of 12 and you like them, and you like them a lot, then save up your money and buy the big set, or at least go to the 48 set. Don't waste your money going, okay, I'm going to get 12, and then I'm going to get 24, and then I'm going to get 48, because you'll just have a truckload of duplicates. Okay? So, that is my suggestion. I decided to go with the pencils. At some point in time, I'm probably going to get the blocks as well, but I don't know that for sure. But I have the pencils, and I love them. So, back to the pencils at hand so you can see. So this is the set of 72. I have them in here by numerical order because that's how I swatched them out. I swatched them with the name and the number. And I do put them back in. Janet, if Janet's here, she'll understand this. I do put them back in the numerical order because it's easier for me to coordinate my swatches with the pencil in here. Okay, and I said Janet because Janet tends to be a little organized. She doesn't organize this way, but she is organized. Hi, Diane. Hi, Jill. Okay, so here are the balance of the pencils. This is one of those cases. It's one of those cases. It's got 2 sections in it. And I swatched them, and so these swatches go with this. These 2, we'll call them pages of pencils. And these swatches go with these 2 pages of pencils. When you're working with Inktense pencils, you really have to swatch them out because the end of the pencil does not necessarily equate at all to the way that they're going to swatch out. Okay? Hi, Debbie. 2 Debbies right in a row. Well, thank you. It's so good to see you, Diane. Pack or die. Yes, and Ian says, or you can buy them open stock. Yes, you can. And I don't know how they equate. Ian might be able to tell you how they equate open stock price-wise to buying in the sets. I would think buying them in sets is less expensive than buying open stock, but I don't know that at all. But the open stock thing means if you use a color a lot, like there are some colors I go back to over and over and over, it's nice to be able to refill just that one. Yeah, Vicky says, and Barb is assuming I'll keep the pencils in order. Sorry, I had to have a drink. That's true. Okay. So let's see, which one of these do I think is going to show up better? I think maybe this one is going to show up better. So what I'm going to do is I think I'll work on this one a little bit. I'll do part of this mandala right here. This is a great activity to have while you're watching television. So what I'm going to do is you can either pull colors that go with the background or contrast the background, but remember, your background color is going to affect whatever shows on the top. Okay, Ian says they are £1.80 per pencil. I don't know how that relates to US dollars, but some of you will know that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull some colors. So I'm going to do some yellows, some greens, and maybe a little bit of blue or blue-green. So I just get my swatchy thing here, okay, and I go through and I decide which color I want. So I'm going to use this cad yellow, which is 210, which is this one, and maybe sienna gold, which is 0240, so that one. See, it makes it easier for me to go down and look at the color and then just relate them right down the line. So that, and then I put them away in numerical order when I'm done. I'm telling you, yeah, it might be a little crazy, but that's that. Okay, so let's look at this. I'm going to pull mallard green because I like that color. And then we're going to flip to the other two pages. And teal green, which I love. I reach for that all the time. I'm going to do apple green, which is 1400. Another one I use all the time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's what we're going to work with at the moment. Maybe a blue. Maybe let's put out one blue. And let's do, in the blues, let's do sea blue, which is 1200. Okay. So those are my pencils that I'm going to use, okay? Okay, $2.40 a pencil. Thank you, Ian. That's $2.40 in US dollars. Okay, perfect. Beth says she keeps her polychromos in order. And she swears she's dropped that tin 15 times in 2 years. It's like 52 pickup with pencils. No kidding. No kidding. Okay. Now, the thing about Inktense pencils is that they're fat. The barrel is fat, so you have to have, not every pencil sharpener will work. This is the very first pencil sharpener I ever bought. It's a kid's pencil sharpener, but it has a fat, you know, dealy whopper where you can sharpen your pencils. You can always use a scalpel or craft knife to sharpen them. I just tend to carry this around with me, and then periodically I drop it and the crap goes everywhere, but you know, life's tough. Okay, so let's come over here, and this is going to look a little greener than it actually is because that's what this camera does. And we're going to zoom. Let me zoom you in so you can see even more. All right, so you can see how the image is transferred. It's not, you know, perfection, but it's darn good. All right, so here we go. Let's see how it works. So we're going to start in the middle, and I'm just going to pick a pencil. And I'm going to go around the middle. And just because this image has little dots around the middle, just because it has a certain you know, image, part of the drawing, doesn't mean I have to use it. So I'm going to put some of that there, and then I'm going to use some, maybe I'm going to use some sienna gold, and I'm going to put some of that in here. And maybe I'll do some cadmium yellow at the other end of this. And then I'm going to repeat that same thing around these same petals, okay? Yeah, Ian says a set is best, but being open stock means you can replace one at a time. Yeah. Okay. That's what I thought it probably would be the case, that they were the most reasonable if you bought them as a set, and then the open stock is, the advantage to the open stock is you run out of this color, or you like this color a whole bunch, and so you go buy more. Now I'm not bearing down on these, I'm just adding color, so I'm not pushing for all I'm worth on this. And then I'm going to add maybe, let's add some, this is mallard green, I'm going to add a little bit, no, let's go with blue. I'm trying to add some color so you can really see them, so I'm going to add some sea blue. Okay, like so. And so I usually do, you know, some parts, I'll do some parts for until I'm tired of coloring, and then I want to see what it looks like. And then I stop adding color and I add water. You can do this with a regular paintbrush and water if you want. I like the water brush because I can do it and not take a chance on getting scolded by the technical department for having water on my table. Okay, so I'm going to use the big brush, the biggest of the brushes. And I'm just going to make sure that the water is flowing. Let's see if I've got enough. So I just make sure the water is flowing in my, you can see the water right there. So I just have a rag, and this is the biggest of the brush tips, of the 3 brush tips. And then I'm just going to come in here and I'm going to activate. I usually start in the center because I just, well, I don't know, because that's just what I have to do. You can do it any way you want. And I continually flip my image around so that my hand stays comfortable, like so. Okay? So once I have done that, then I just get rid of the excess pencil. Once the water's running clear, then you know it's clean. And then I'm going to, let's see, I'm going to do these outer petals next, because that's wet, and if I get too close to it, it may, you know, leach some of that color out. And if the green runs into the blue, that's okay. And then periodically I just wipe off the excess. And I always try to keep, I am no expert at watercolor, so let me just say that right up front. I try to keep a wet edge, because if this dries like watercolor, it's going to leave a line. Which, if that happens, I will just simply cover it up with the line work and the embellishment when I decide to do that with pens or jelly roll pens, paint pens, what have you. Remember that you're going to be affected by whatever is happening underneath the Inktense, because I'm not coming up off of a white background. I'm coming up off of a colored background, which is what I like. So, you know, that's what I like. So you're just going to watch me paint this for a little bit. Not for too long. And then we're going to go, I'm going to switch over to a different one, and we'll do a little bit of line work. Frosting, as I call it. We have a whole course on mandalas called Mandala Madness. The link for that is in the description box below the video as well. All different kinds of mandalas. A lot of people in the live audience today have taken that course. It's a multi-class, multi-video. And that is available. You get to see what I do as well as what the students who have taken the class, what they do. The students that took it when we did it live, you'll get to see what they do, because we did live show and share sessions, and so you'll get to see what they did. Now, I don't dilly-dally around with this. If you are a piddler, meaning that you like to mess around with your paints, you know, and spend a long time blending things out, this is probably not the medium for you. You gotta get in there and do it and keep moving. And I'm sorry if I keep moving this too much for you, but I gotta move it so that my hand can use it. I'm really zoomed in on this camera so you can see, which means it's real easy to actually get it out of the shot a little bit. So see if I can watch this and be a little more careful. So keep the edge wet, and as you are liquefying the ink, the color of the pencil. And you do want to try to, if possible, liquefy all of the pencil. And these Pentel water brush pens, I have really good luck with them feeding the water down unless one of them gets clogged up. And the reason they get clogged up is because they get clogged up with minerals from the water. And sometimes, and it's like this minuscule little amount of, you know, calcium or whatever will clog up that fine mechanism in there. Sometimes you can clean it and it'll work, sometimes not. Sometimes you just gotta give it up and move on. Okay, so there is what we got going. Okay. All right, then clean your brush so that it doesn't have any more color on it. And then try to find the one that's the dry where you started. Let me see if I'm going to tip it in the light, see if I can tell. I can't tell, so I'm just going to pick one. Maybe this one. Okay, then I'm going to start up here, and I'm going to liquefy this. Now, if any of this blue is not liquefied, the yellow is going to grab it, and you're going to get some green tones. And you know what? You have to be okay with that. You just have to be okay with it, because it happens. And then where those two colors are, I'm just going to pull those together so they just kind of blend into each other. I do love the Inktense pencils for a variety of reasons. I love that the fact that they are permanent when they dry. As long as you've liquefied the pigment entirely, I love that aspect. I love the fact you can use them on a variety of surfaces. I've used them on wood, I've used them on fabric. I like the, as their name suggests, I like the intensity of them. Now, on some of these, you'll notice that you're going to still see some of my the pencil strokes. You might still see some of the pencil strokes in there. That doesn't bother me one iota, because I'm going to be coming back over the top of these with 900 other things. But I love the fact that when I do things like this, I can, the color that's underneath will come up, and it does affect the colors of what I'm doing, and so you get some really interesting, like this is a different color than this over here, and it's because there is a different color underneath it. So I love that. Hey, Nancy Dale. No, Mandala deck's not available, but Nancy, I did show all kinds of cool stuff in the beginning, so you will want to scroll to watch the recording. It's right at the beginning. I almost forgot to show it. All right, so that's that. And I would continue doing the same kind of thing, using those colors of pencils or other colors, it doesn't matter. And I would just keep going and, fill in the whole kit and caboodle. All right, so I'm going to switch over to one that is in my book. So these are ones I showed a little bit earlier, done the same way. I'm going to give you a real close-up. All these images are from my Mandala books. Okay, so there's that one. Now, if you get super close like this, if you get real super close, you're going to start seeing the inconsistencies from, one, like this little thing is not the same as that little thing. Well, who cares? Because from a distance, you don't pick up any of that stuff. You see it as a whole, right? Okay, and these aren't necessarily finished. I have no idea if they're finished or not. And in here, when I was doing this white detail in here, I completely messed myself up, and so I just, made the best of it. But if I didn't point that out to you, unless you really studied it, you're not going to pick it up. Okay, so let's go to this one right here. So what you see here is the same sort of thing, acrylic washes, some salt, and then an image transfer of one of the designs. This is one of the mandalas that was shrunk way down, so it's got teensy tiny little spots in there. So the middle, I just turned it all one color rather than do all those little divisions. Like, who cares about that? All right, so here is my my thoroughly dried image. So at that point, then you want to use either fine tip, because this is small, fine tipped pens like the Moonlight Jelly Roll pens. I tend to reach for these because they show up on everything. The Moonlight ones, they'll show on dark surfaces as well as light. Or you can go to things like the Posca pens. These are the extra small or extra fine. Is it extra fine? I think they're called extra fine tips. See how teeny that little tip is? For something that's little, like these spaces, you've got to have little nibs or little tips on your pens. If you want to do white, then you want to go, this is a good white pen. If you don't have a paint pen, this is a good white pen. If you get the one that has the Japanese or whatever it is. I guess it's Japanese. I don't know. See that color right there? And their characters? That's the one you want. Okay? Just saying. You will be happier. Another good white pen that I like a lot is the Gelli Roll white pen. And these now come in different sizes. Different tip sizes. You can use all kinds of other things, but those are the things I reach for the most. Hello, Anastasia. Okay. They are Inktense Pencils by Derwent. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, I'm going to attempt to keep this where you can kind of see. The reason I'm doing it here at kind of a weird angle is so that you can see this as close up as I can get. This is close up as I can get you. How's that? All right, so what I did, and you can see the difference in here. You can see the color variation. See how this is really pink, but this isn't? That's because of what was going on in the background. Same thing here. You can see how it gets affected. And you can add more layers of color with the Inktense. Once it's dry, you can add more colors on top of that. For example, let's go back here for just a second. This is dry. So let's say that I want to add, let's say I want to add some blue around this center because it's not, or let's do mallard green around the center because that's a green color. Okay, so let's digress for one moment. Grab my water brush. Okay, so here is, this is mallard green that I got going on. This was apple green in the middle that I used. Now this is apple green in here, but let's say I want to darken around the edge. So rather than using the pencil as a pencil, I can grab one of the water brush and I can just take the color straight from the tip of the pencil. And then I wipe off the brush, and before that gets dry, I blend it in. Okay, so I'm just picking up the pigment straight from the tip of the pencil. Now, if you're working with the blocks, you just do the same thing, except you're working with the blocks instead of the tip of the pencil. Okay, and I don't know that you can see that. Let's go again. Let me go with a darker color because I don't think you can see that. Okay, this is the blue. This is sea blue. So let me try it with the blue. I'm just trying to get it dark enough that you can see what I'm talking about. But you'll soon learn how much, how to keep, when you have to clean off the tip of your water brush, because if I start blending that right now, I'm just going to drag all that color into the center. So I cleaned off the tip of my water brush. So hopefully you can see now that that's darker. I can see it. I'm not sure you can. Let's try all right, let me try adding some of the mallard green into right here next to the center. I'm just trying to get enough contrast that you can really maybe see right there. You might be able to see it, you might not. Let's try one more petal. Maybe if you have two petals to look at that have been shaded a little bit and two that haven't, maybe you'll be able to see it. But as long as the previous coat, the previous layer is really more correct. As long as the previous layer is dry, you can add more onto it. Okay, so you see that there's more shading here and here, and it changes as it dries. Okay? It changes as it dries. So once you see this like this, you go, okay, yeah, I really like that. Well, don't get married to that effect because it may change a little bit as it dries out. That's been my experience. So I'm just always happy with what I get. Yeah, that's what I decide. I decide that what my artwork looks like is exactly the way it was meant to look. And I'm happy about it. And I've lost the lid to my, here it is. Be careful when you put the lid back on your water brushes. Be sure that you get all of those little bristles back in a line before you put that lid back on. Okay? All right. So meanwhile, back over here, I'm going to pick a pen that has color in it that maybe we'll be able to see. All right, let's go for this one. Okay, and so this is one of the Moonlight colors, and I usually have a piece of paper available so I can start my I'm just continually scratching on the paper to make sure that the ink is flowing, and then I just start going for it. And I usually start in the middle, but I'm going to start out here where there's a bigger shape. And once I do one, then I keep going, so that's what I'm going to do. And this is cold pressed watercolor paper, so it does have some texture, so sometimes the pen will go, my lines will get a little bit wonky. It does take a minute for the Jelly Roll ink to dry, so do not stick your hand right in it, because if you do, you are going to smear it. So I am right-handed, so I am turning so that, I'm not laying in the ink. If you're left-handed, you're going to want to rotate your image the other direction. Sorry, I'm getting out of the image. Sometimes I'll outline sections. I'll get on a specific design and I just do a whole bunch of that design for a while. And then I get something else that I get hung up on, so I do a whole bunch of that. Okay, so you can see. I sound bored, Nancy? How did that happen? How did that happen that I'm sounding bored? Okay, so let's go to a white pen, and I'm going to just come in here. Let's see. And this is a kind of a fat tip. You do kind of go into a bit of a more mellow space, which is the whole point of doing mandalas or any other kind of meditative sort of artwork. You do kind of go into a bit of a more mellow space. When you do things like this. So maybe that's what you're hearing, is I just went into my space. Okay, so once I do one little something something, then I repeat it all the way around. And then I pick up another pen color, whatever it might happen to be. I'm just picking up random stuff that I might not otherwise. Who knows if I'd use these colors or not if I wasn't doing this with you guys. So I'm going to and I usually work toward myself when I'm doing these. And this is a tiny, tiny little center, so this is going to be probably not symmetrical, because it was symmetrical to begin with until I put the Inktense color on it. And then I kind of hijacked that. And so I will probably wait and see what else I want to do in the middle of that. But maybe I want to emphasize these little triangles out here and make them a little pointier. So I might go around those with the same kind of color so that it just doesn't contrast with that. It just makes them have more presence. Lets them be more important. I use lots and lots of dots when I am doing this. One of my favorite sayings is, when in doubt, dot. Oh look, I missed one of my little triangles right there. Let's go back and get that, shall we? Get my water brush. So I missed activating the Inktense right there. But do you see, when I did this, even though I'm using water and even though I'm using getting the paper really wet, do you see those lines never budged? And that's inkjet ink. I have absolutely no explanation as to why that works. None. Bye, Ellen. Yes. Bye, Dana. See you tomorrow. Okay, so when in doubt, dot. So I'm going to use my white Signo pen here, and I'm going to dot. And I'm going to come on top of the blue dots I have right here. And it just sparkles those dots. Now, if you have paint pens, you can use paint pens. You do not have to use gel. You can use whatever you want. If you have other gel pens that you prefer over these, use them. And sometimes I'm more accurate with my dotting than others. Sometimes not so much. And I just work back and forth and back and forth and back and forth with whatever. You do have to let the previous layer dry. I'm not sure that my white is completely dry here. Before you come back on top of it with another color. In fact, I'm sure it's not completely dry, so yeah, we're just gonna let that go. See this big old splotch of pink here? That was in the background. It's like, oh well, yeah. Any suggestion for saving gel pens that stop writing? No, not necessarily. Some people say you can spit. Some people say you can take a baby wipe, you know, like this is a damp baby wipe, and you can brush the tip across that. Some people spit on their finger and run the tip across that. If those don't work, then it's like throw it away, get a new one. It's not worth my time to get distraught over them, honestly. You know, I've spent my fair share of time. The secret to gel pens is the same as the secret to paint pens. Okay, this is my deepest, darkest secret. You got to use them. Because I've had pens like glaze pens and what else? Souffle pens that I had for a long time because I was saving them. And they all clogged up on me, and that was that. Because I didn't use them. So that's the secret. Paint pens are the same way. If you buy paint pens and you use them, you know, to start with, but then you're going to save them, not every brand of paint pen does it, but a lot of them will stop working, and it's just because they're not being used. So, yeah. So there you go. Okay. So we're going to come back over here just so you get another view of this page that I'm working on. I know you don't catch quite maybe the level of detail, but you get more of the kind of overview of how it looks, okay, from there. And then let's take a look at it. You'll see the shift in color is going to happen because from one camera to the other there is a difference in the color shift. But just so you can kind of get the idea. This is all from the salt. There's no salt there, but that's the effect from the salt. And once again, here are the other ones. So this one is just the image transfer, and here are the other two that are kind of in progress by Marion. And then these two have just, and this is from the background, these little marks here. These are just from, these have just barely been started. Okay? All right. Any final questions from anybody? Before I get out the sponsors, they're probably in there so lazy, laying in the window because it is warm in here. And I know you've had to listen to the roaring of the air conditioner in the background, but I couldn't do this without the air conditioner, I'm telling you. Just trying to clear some space for some fat sponsors that are coming out. If you have any last questions, stick them in the chat. Of course, Nancy, of course. Anyway, I think these are really fun. So from even further away, aren't they fun? I don't know. I love these. I love them. Okay, let's get a sponsor cam ready. And we'll let them come out. Sponsors are the big fat Siamese cats that live here that let me do this. So let's see if they want to come out. Are you coming out? They are laying in the window. Gonna come out and talk about it. Okay. Lay down. You're on camera. You gotta lay down so everybody can see your face. Here was the poster boy today. He was the screen image today. This is Chance. That's okay, Nancy, I know. You're going to come up here. Charlie's on the floor talking about it. Ooh, let's see if he wants to come up. If he starts coughing, we'll put him off on the floor. He likes to, as soon as he gets up here, he almost always starts coughing at the camera. Okay, so there's the sponsors. These are the two that you hear often in my videos in the background. You'll hear them because they love to they put their mouths right up against the crack of the door and they go, and they're loveliest, most melodious. sponsor voices. They act like they're being killed. They act like they're being killed dead. Don't change the camera, okay? Here he goes. It's like, yeah, I'm okay now. They get more crud in their eyeballs. Anyway, okay, so that is that, everybody. Thank you so much for joining all of us today. Thank you for being here. Tomorrow is VIP class, and sorry that you have to see the monitors there. Tomorrow's a VIP class, and just trying to get it so you can see just them. Can't see Charlie's got his head on the other computer. This is my chat computer. He's got his head on it. He's a case. Anyway, tomorrow's VIP class. You'll have an email later today with the information. I will see you guys, well, for sure in a month, but probably before then, because as soon as the Mandala Madness cards are here and we're ready, we will be rolling them out. So you will have plenty of inspiration, okay? So I will see you all later. Thank you so much for being here. If you want to give the broadcast a thumbs up before you go, that'd be great. And I will see you guys again soon. Thanks, everybody, for being here. Remember to get creative today, because you know it's easy, and we'll all see you next time. Bye, everybody.